All right, let's not wait anymore. We have an interesting evening ahead of us. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ferial Adam, and I am the Executive Manager of WaterCAN. Tonight's discussion is something we've been doing for a few years now. I think this might be the third year, where we talk about, we get youth to talk about environmental issues, to talk about water. And we have two very interesting panelists, well, actually three, if I can include my colleague Nomsa. Nomsa and I will co-facilitate, because I think that Nomsa would add some questions in. I think that one of the things that is important about tonight is, and a discussion, and I hope that I see a lot of action for accountability. So this could be like an action for accountability WaterCAN workshop. Is the issue of getting young people more involved. If we look at the elections, we know that a lot of people did not vote, and a lot of it was young people who are just for a range of reasons, right? And also in terms of environmental issues, activism, we seem not to be speaking the same kind of language, or we're not getting people involved. And I think that it's always nice to highlight people who are and who are doing amazing things. I'm going to start with Tahira. Tahira is from KwaZulu-Natal, and she is someone that has amazing she takes her own initiative, and she's formed an organization called Hope, but she will give us more information on that. And I think I would just, like to start off both to Tahira Lerato to ask a very simple question, because I think the best way to describe yourself is not for me to read out something that you've sent, but is for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and how you would describe yourself in a few minutes. So let me start with Tahira, and let me just apologize on behalf of Lerato. She is driving home. Goodness, if anyone knows this route from Pretoria to Lenasia, it's like driving to Cape Town. But anyway, she will switch on her camera as soon as she gets home and is more relaxed, etc. But let's start the discussion with telling us a little bit about yourself, Tahira.
Hi everyone, thank you for that introduction. So I'm Tahira Naika. I'm from KwaZulu-Natal. Yes, and I am personally the founder of Hope, which stands for Help Oceans Protect Earth. It's a youth-led community organization dedicated to raising awareness about ocean conservation, and how youth in our community specifically can get involved and take action, whether it's through our educational workshops, through our social media, and especially through our beach cleanups, or most recently our WaterCAN testing that we did on one of our, actually we did a scout camp, which was at our Tugela river mouth. It was at one of the nature reserves. So we were able to take some of the young kids, do some fun activities, and then incorporate environmental awareness and education and conservation in that space. So that's kind of what the organization is, and that's what I'm passionate about. It's about getting youth involved and taking action and making it fun, and just making a difference. Thank you. Sorry, I think you're on
I was on mute. I was saying thank you for that, Tahira. I'm going to put people on the spot every now and again. I'm going to give Lerato some time, but I would like Nomsa to quickly introduce herself as my colleague and co-facilitator. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay, can you hear me now? Sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Nomsa, and I work with WaterCAN. I have been with WaterCAN for now, it's almost a year. And I've also been involved in some of the training. I personally myself have done training with the Scouts as well, the side in Johannesburg. It was teenagers between the age of 12 and 16. So it was very interesting. I think getting the youth involved in water is a good thing to do nowadays. Yeah, so that's all about me for
Namsa,
now.
can you tell us a little bit, because you've only stopped for, like, you just told us about a year, and I'm sure you have a lot more to tell us than just 1 year. So can you tell us about your early days in Outer and what attracted you to work at Outer?
Okay, so
For everyone, Outer is the organization undoing tax abuse.
yes, so I started out with Alta in 2017. When I started with Alta, I used to work for the supporter relation department. So I did a lot in that department. It was a matter of incoming queries and as well as taking calls. And as the organization grew, I wanted to grow as well as an individual. I got to meet Ferial, but when I met Ferial, she was still part of the exco, but not working for Alta. And then when she started, because there was the water and there was a water department, but nothing really much happened in that department. We knew that we were working with Alta, but when Ferial started, that's when I really got interested because as part of the supporter relations, the calls would come in through to us, or we would get emails. People would be complaining about lack of water or pollution in the water or the water being dirty. So the interaction would start with us, and I would have to communicate with Ferial in order for us to get a response. And so I got to learn more about water and the current state that we're facing in South Africa. That's how I got involved with WaterCAN and started assisting Ferial.
Thanks, Noms, but we'll get back to that in a little while. Lerato, can you unmute and give us an introduction off camera, I guess, for now, because I don't know how close you are. Oh, you home! Yay!
I'm home. Evening, everyone. I'm Lerato Gianni, for accountability. Where do I begin? Well, I am a passionate, activated activist for everybody that does know me. And honestly speaking, Farrell, my love for the climate and not just only water or just being cautious really began in school. And I've seen the power of knowledge. The more you know certain things, the more you are aware, and the more you just hear that urgency of doing something and really just getting the passionate behind it. So in a nutshell, I just love doing my bit, helping out, saving. And I mean, if we don't take care of the place we live in, where are we going to live in? So, yeah, and I'm proudly an Asian. Those that also know me know that about me. And being an activist is just keeping, activated and doing the action more than the speaking.
Awesome. So we have something in common. Well, more than something. We both Linasians. I'm an ex-Linasian. Yay.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you for that. I think that to the people who are in the room, please submit questions to these young fiery women. And we'll get to know them better and get to know their understanding of their activism better. The next part, I want to hand over to Nomsa because Nomsa has some questions as well. And maybe you want to ask that question, but also think about how you're going to respond to it.
Okay. So Lerato and Tanisha. So what I'm really
Tahira.
hearing from you guys, Tahira, sorry, is really, really, really interesting. So what I'm curious to know is how you guys got involved in activism and why.
Okay, can I go first?
Yes.
Okay. So from a young age, I've always been someone that's cautious. I think it's my sixth sense, maybe, or a talent. I don't know. But I think being cautious in terms of everything really pushed me in that space. And growing up after high school, once I just got exposed to the activism world and things that activists do, I was like, this is calling my name. And it just began by just reading, knowing what other people are doing. And what inspired me the most was when I saw youth being involved. And definitely my roots begin within the Amakratara Foundation. Having that exposure and attending summits, conferences, workshops, campaigns, trainings, and seeing all these things on social media, it really grabbed my attention. And sooner or later, I was so deep in it. And sometimes I tell the story and I'm like, you know what? It started with one conference and then the rest is history. But just knowing and just being exposed and also hearing beautiful stories. I'm also a very big advocate in terms of raising awareness, because I've realized how, they say we perish due to lack of knowledge. And I think that's the reason why certain issues are currently happening, simply because people don't know. And the more I knew, the more I wanted to know, the more I wanted to be there to assist. So it started off as like, okay, you just know, then it's like, okay, do it. And now it's a passion. It's something I love. It's something I live. It's something I eat, breathe, drink, and even sleep, dreaming about. So yeah, that's how it began, by just going to a conference, learning, knowing things, and here am I today.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Tahira?
Oh, that was so awesome to hear about your journey, and I definitely like resonate a lot with that. Because I myself am, quite young. I'm still in high school. So I would say that my activism journey it started like when I was very young, getting involved with scouts, conservation projects, whether it's tree planting, you know, a workshop with a local organization, nonprofit that does work in our community, seeing what they do, being inspired, and just kind of making it fun, like doing projects together, doing, projects together. Like it just makes it fun to, really get involved, and you learn a lot. You learn a lot from your peers, you learn a lot from the organizations you work with. And yeah, I would say like it really started by seeing, as with you, other youth in activism, other youth in conservation, seeing what they're doing, being inspired, being like, I want to do what you're doing. How can I get involved? Or maybe like, as I'm doing now, how can I start my own initiative based on like what I've learned and what I've experienced? And yeah, I'd say that living along the coast, so I live in the Utukela Marine Protected Area, which is on the coast of KwaZulu-Natal, the North Coast. So, we really see a lot of like biodiversity, marine life. Recently now we've had, such beautiful, weather, but so we've been able to like go outside a lot, even though it's really cold. But yeah, just loving nature, loving the environment, and really having that strong sense of community, but also seeing the issues that, are facing your community and your environment. Like, we have a lot of plastic pollution.
So
And
Tahira, I'm going to stop you for a second because you're preempting our next question. So
okay,
hold those thoughts.
okay.
But if there's anything else you want to add, yeah. Besides
Oh,
the issues, the environmental issues, the kind of
no.
your passion for activism.
Oh no, I was just saying like, it all goes hand in hand. Like, as much as you care, you also want to do something about it, and yeah, protect what you love.
Thank you. Nomsa, do you want to give it a go? Can we know about what besides joining, I mean, you joined out as a job, has that instilled in you an activism, and what kind of activism? Namsa? Namsa, you're on mute.
Hi, can you hear me? Sorry, can you please repeat that question again?
Sorry. Okay, we'll come back to you. You deal with that. We'll come back to you. Don't worry. So we'll carry on. I mean, I think what I'm hearing is really, really interesting. It's giving me more questions than, like, I'm so interested by what you guys are saying. and all that you've been tackling. So of course, this is the question that Tahir was heading down the road with, which is, what are your thoughts and visions on water and environment? Now we start with Tahira this time because she was on a roll and I cut her off.
Oh, no problem. Yes, wow. So what would I envision for youth and water? Well, I think, um, you know, water can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different communities and people, but in my context, it means, protecting the ocean, protecting our rivers, our lakes, the precious water sources that we are privileged enough to have access to, and that we really rely on for like fishing, for water supply, and for just recreation, because a lot of fun memories I have with my friends or with my community take place in our coastal environment. And yeah, so I would say that, it really comes back to community, and it comes back to, a ground up approach, like young people starting from like um as young as you can get. I think in our scouts group we have cubs that are about like maybe 5, 6, 7 years old. So they're really, really fun, really energetic, and they ask a lot of questions, very curious. So it's great to be able to link that with conservation, and create that sense of curiosity about conservation, about their local environment, because that's where like the next generation of activists are going to come from. It comes from like the youth, and linking conservation and education with those sorts of groups, like whether it's school eco clubs, um, yeah, or scouts, or yeah.
Thank you. That was really nice. I was just picturing 5, 6, 7-year-olds, and I was like, yo, then what's nice is they'll see you as old, so it's quite funny
Oh, but no,
seeing that.
yeah, we do have like a lot of young kids, but like we also have like scouts, which is obviously teenagers, about
Yeah.
15 to 18. Yeah, and then we have like the adult leaders. So, there's a definite like age diversity, which makes it really great to have like that support as well. And yeah.
Thank you. Lerato, what is your vision for water and the environment? Because I think you said one of the things you got really passionate about was, environment stuff. And I loved your comment about we will perish due to lack of knowledge, and that people just don't know. I think that is so powerful. And how would you put that into your vision for the future, for water, for environment? What would you like to see?
Okay, so just a quick background. I'm really going to be short on this, but it's really, I don't know whether should I say shocking, but it really hit me till this day. I was watching, I even forgot, but this is probably like a decade ago. I was still in school. I'm not that old, by the way, but anyways, it was definitely a decade ago. And I can still even remember the voice. It was a male voice. I just forgot the show and everything. And I think it was actually a history documentary or something like that. So in school we learned of World War I, World War II, and we see that okay, the people, slaves fighting and all of that. And then they said World War III could really be water scarcity. I was like, no ways, what do they mean? Water is natural, water is from rain. How could people ever fight over water? I was shocked. I started researching, I started reading. It was as if they said it's going to happen tomorrow. Until this day, it really makes so much of sense as to why could World War III be on water. And I tell you, I conserve water, so it's crazy. Hey, I reuse water like more than anyone. I use water over and over again because I just have this constant voice that hey, the next time humans are fighting and the human race is in a war, it's because of water. And when you check the rainfall stats and how there's a decline in that, my heart just beats. And what I really want to see and the vision that I would love to see is for everyone to be aware, to be cautious, is for everyone to take the stand. I'm talking from schools to households, family, in especially industry. I cannot even emphasize it. I can't. Industries, I just, I don't know what to say. From air pollution, water pollution, everything pollution has to do with a certain industry. So for me, it's really to see a nation, a country, a whole human race just having that at the back of their thought that, hey, I need to save this, I need to conserve, I need to preserve this, because if I don't, I won't have it. And the sad thing is that water is a need. It's not something that we can be like, oh, if it's not there, we'll still survive. It's not cool drink, it's not juice, it's water. I mean, you bath with it, you drink it. 7 days without water, death is super possible. And people don't know. Others do know, but they just don't care. And it's so sad how we always want to act when it's a bit too late or when things are getting rough, right? So with me, I heard this, like I'm saying, a decade ago, could even be more, but I started acting from that day till now. And I'm always proud of myself because, with water, it looks small, but every drop counts. So the day I see people talking about saving water and literally saving water, I would be happy. So that's really my vision.
Wow, that I love that. I mean, I think that you've both given, such personal visions, and that is why it makes it so real. It's when we try to take on a vision that's not our own or like someone else's vision, it becomes a bit fake. But both of you, I mean, just here, I could almost see you at the coast, being concerned about things at the coast, and Lerato as well. I was almost going to say it was it, but yeah, I mean, I don't know how old you are, but the whole idea of water wars and the World War III would be around water is very real. And it's not just about between countries, right? It's also within countries. So if we look, for example, at Day Zero in Cape Town, the richer, like communities were conflicting with the poorer communities because they could just drop a borehole and get their water, whereas poorer communities can't do it. So it becomes also about inequality and access. And I loved what you said about it. Kind of links into the next question, which Nomsa, besides asking that question, in terms of that, I think also maybe just tell us a little bit about your activism. And, like I said, you may have gotten involved in Outer as, hey, here's a job, I can go and do this. But has that changed your thinking? And then I think you have a question which links to what Tahira and Lerato have been saying around getting involved. So I'll over to you.
Yes. I think for me, joining WaterCAN, what I've learned is mostly awareness, right? As the youth growing up back in the days, we were really never made aware of we do learn about pollution at school. They teach us that, the normal standard, but we don't really get to learn the importance of it. So me coming into WaterCAN, learning about the importance of not to pollute, and that has really taught me as much. That has really taught me a lot as a person. So I think I'd just like to add on to what Lerato and Tari, I was saying, as young people, Tahira, sorry about that. As young people, I think we are the future steward of the planet. Our involvement is really, really critical. I think what would my vision for this would be education and advocacy. I think education is the key when it comes to the youth, bringing awareness about the importance of water conservation, like Tahira was saying, environmental protection. I think we can inspire more people to take action. Advocacy is for stronger environmental policies and regulations as well. So I think we need to get the youth more involved as well. So coming to that, my next question to Lerato and Tahira would be, what I've been grappling with you guys is how you can bring on more young people to get involved.
Okay, so regarding to that, I'm so sorry, I'm speaking so much about my history. I'm even feeling old. But anyways,
Ah,
um,
not old,
when I was
but it's
in,
good that you have that. Is good that you have that. That's, I think, what happens when you're an activist. You get this experience. Your mind is keeps moving and it's active. So please, the whole point of today is to hear from you guys. So please share with us so we can learn as well.
you're right. So what I'm gonna share, it's a bit of a not really heartbreaking, but anyways, in primary, I attended liberal primary school, and as children, we saw trees and we didn't. Okay, we heard about global warming like because of natural science, and we learned that at school, but our primary school took Arbor Day so seriously. Like it was like our Christmas day at school. You had to dress a certain way, wear a certain color. They would dedicate a full hour to Arbor Day. And you got your seeds, you got your spade, your teacher would take you to the garden outside. We were planting trees, you water it. We had a garden, and then there was also a vegetable garden at school. And it was crazy. It was like the best day, it was better than a school excursion, right? Because here you are planting this, and then they'll show you that, okay, the grade fours planted this one last year, look how it's growing. And we were so excited. And because of that excitement, and because we practically did plant the trees, we wanted to find out what is this other day? Why are we planting trees? And although Google wasn't that much of a thing back then, we still had Britannicas. I still have 4 or 5 volumes till this day, and encyclopedias and all of that. And we just learned and researched about it, and we realized that, hey, these trees gives us oxygen. Without a tree, we can't breathe. And at the tender young age of 12, 11, you knew the importance of a tree. You knew what global warming was, and you knew what you needed to do. And because the school also enforced that, you had no option because you're waking up, you're going to school, and boom, you are given a seed, you're given some water, you're given soil, and there's a spade for you, you go and plant. And I was like, okay. And then, it happened, but over the years, it died out. And because it died out, more younger people from a grassroots level don't know what's happening. They don't understand the importance because it's not instilled at home, it's not instilled in the media, it's not instilled on social media, it's not instilled in communities, it's not even instilled in schools. So the question then becomes, how would they know, right? Remember, you're spending 7 8 hours of your day at school or at work. And these are actually the vital platforms where such information should one way or the other be broadcasted. So one of the best ways to get the youth involved is starting at the grassroots level to say, okay, dear Department of Basic Education, this is the issue. You are aware. Children need to know from a young age to, conserve the planet, to plant a tree, save water. We had dustbins in our school for recycling to say, this is for cans, this is for plastic, this. And it becomes nature, it becomes habit. And because 7 hours of the day you're running around school and you're seeing can, you're seeing plastic, you see plant this, close tabs, da 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 da, it just lives in you and you end up doing it even at home. You do it in public, you do it even out of school. Until this day, all those morals that were instilled in us at that tender age, they still, stay with me till this day. So I think it's time we just don't do this in silos. And it's time the youth just get a full support in a sense of getting other stakeholders, other entities coming to the party. And like I'm saying, it's not there on social media, and the youth is there on social media. So instead of, I'm sure the youth will hate me on this, but instead of that Sheen advert that will just pop up and the Tim with this thing, the if thing, let a WaterCAN advert pop up, because I mean, you can't run away from that. You want to download a serious app and they're telling you about Sheen and they say you can only skip after 3 seconds. So you are forced to look at it. And whether you like it or not, you know what Sheen is, you know what Tim, because it's right there in your face, right? So why can't WaterCAN ads pop up? Conservation ads pop up, be created and everything. I think it's time we tackle, especially social media, because that's where the youth is. And because these things are in their face, like I'm saying, you can't hide it. Like you can't. It's just there. So I think if you could use such platforms perhaps also, and then just engaging, like I'm saying, from the grassroots level. For me, the youth now has even became the children because they grow so fast. I mean, I live in a household whereby my niece, who is 12 years old, asks and tells me things, and I'm like, you're not even a teenager yet. How do you know these things? So I think just starting it from schools at the grassroots level, and then just invading the spaces where the youth is in masses. I'm even thinking to myself, let the next celebrity, perhaps hosting a gig or a party, talk about the work WaterCAN does, or talk about saving the planet. I mean, that would really help because that's where the youth is. And, sometimes they say you gotta look for something, but I think sometimes the thing gotta look for you or find you, and then only will reach to them. So I think there are, the few top possible ways that we can just get them to come to this party.
Before you carry on, because Namsa is going to ask Tahira the question, I just have to add, Lerato, by the way, we now have one more thing, another thing in common. I also went to Libra Primary School.
It's a Lenasia kind of thing. This thing.
Okay, thank you so much for that, Lerato. I think I do agree with you when you say that it has to start from the root level. I think as you grow and you grow, you grow with it. When you see a paper on the floor, you would want to pick it up. I was in March. We went to Cape Town with Ferial. We went to one of the schools, and when we got there was so much litter on the floor, and Ferial started picking it up. All those kids were watching at her and were like, what is she doing? So I think I do agree with you. It has to start from the grassroots. Tahira, I think I would also pass the same question to you. How can we bring on more youth people to get involved?
Wow, such an important question, and I think Lerato addressed it so beautifully. Like, yes, like it starts with education, it starts with advocacy, and especially with like social media. I think it's so true that we're exposed to so much on social media, and that influences behavior, and then behave like what we see on a daily basis, like that influences how we relate to one another, how we relate to our environment, and especially if we could instead see inspiring content promoting the conservation of our planet, and it's sharing inspiring stories instead of like promoting really harmful fast fashion brands like Shein, that would be so impactful. And that's one of the reasons why my organization Hope, we started a social media page on Instagram, because we know that like a lot of our friends and a lot of our close community, they're often on Instagram, and they often, if they see something happening in their community, like a local market, they'll attend it. And we know that social media is such a place for that can inspire action. It can be good, it can be bad, but how can we harness that power to drive the positive change that we want to see in our community? And that obviously starts with the youth. And we started to kind of promote like our beach cleanups, or whatever we're doing, like whether it's an educational workshop, like say, hey, come to our scout hall on this day, see what we're doing. It's fun, it's exciting, meet kids your age, have fun, make friends, learn something new, and join our organization if you feel that the message resonates with you, and you want to keep being part of our projects. And yeah, it's such a beautiful thing to, even if it's just one person, or it's, a lot of people, every person makes a difference, and all their actions, count towards the same goal. And it's beautiful to see how, a movement can kind of be created from, a small group of people at a grassroots level, really coming together and being sort of like very like authentic and honest in the mission and the goal. And that resonates a lot with other young people, especially teenagers, because we want to use our time and do something that matters. And if we can make a difference, then it's like it's a great way to, yeah, just connect with your community and address some of the issues that, you know, everyone is facing, whether it's plastic pollution on our beaches, whether it's, you know, like recently we had in KZN the tornadoes, and it was really bad, really devastating for the communities, especially in Tonga. So what our group did was we did a food drive, but what we, you know, we saw was that we needed a water drive. We needed a clean water drive because, you know, that was one of the, you know, resources that were most needed. And we saw that, like, especially, you know, communities that are, you know, less privileged, they need those resources. And so we really got to like highlight how precious water is, and yeah, how we can all kind of be yeah, be more conscious and more compassionate around water. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tahira. I also do agree with you. I think what we also did last week with Ferrell, we also participated in a cleanup, a river cleanup. I think if we also get more youth involved, like you're also doing, for example, on a Saturday, because some of the kids don't have anything to do on a Saturday, maybe get involved in river cleanup, starting a conservation project maybe, or simply just spreading the awareness as well. I think every action counts. So I think Ferrell, I'll pass this to you. You might have the next question for Tahira and Lerato.
Thank you very much, Nomsa. Yeah, guys, you've been saying such amazing stuff. I want to open the floor to to everyone else. And I just that you both have been saying very important things, because one of the things that I've had conversations previously, in fact, I was on a panel. I don't know why I was on. It was on a youth panel. I am not a youth, I admit, but they had me on it. And one of the issues that came up was, and you both alluded to it a little bit, is that dealing with environmental issues can be quite heavy. So the issues around mental wellness was weighing people down. And how do you deal with it? And it's one of the reasons that I think young people tend to maybe stay away. And something you said, Tahira, about making it fun, making friends. I think that we think activists and people think, oh my word, you're so boring. And I'm sure, Lorato, you get that too. Like, oh my word, here comes this activist now. She's going to lecture us about something. But I also like the compassion, because you can't be an activist without love and compassion. And the food drive and the water drive, Tahira, that's in times of disaster, that's what you need. That's what brings leadership. And that is so amazing. There's a question on the chat, but I'm going to read this question. You think about it. And then I also want to bring Azile in from our KZN office, who's also, I would say, a youthful person. The question here from David is what kind of toolkit we can use that are accessible for youth out there to educate youth in our communities on monitoring the health or quality of the rivers nearby us. That question I'm going to leave to Nomsa, Tahira, and Azile. Lerato, I'm not sure if you've done water testing, but I know that they have. And maybe, Azile, you want to cover that question since you come on. So how can you get water testing kits, and how can they monitor river health? Because you do both mini SAS and water testing kits. Over to you, Azile.
Hi, everybody. Can you guys hear me?
We can.
Great. David, I'll first like to answer David about his water testing kit question. It is
Azile, can you put your camera on so people can see you, if possible? Please.
I don't have the Zoom webinar app.
Okay.
So
that's fine. Carry on. We will forgive you for now. I'll send you a picture of it to everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. David, the WaterCAN has a water testing kit that we use when we are testing water. It is very accessible. You can get hold of us, Ferrul, Namsa, me, whoever that is close to where you are. We can help with that. And I am based in KZN, Durban, and I'm also an activist, an activated activist. Okay. And it's so nice hearing these young women, to be specific, young women, about what they've done in their communities, what they've done in terms of advocating for water. I am also I'm doing the most I'm at ground roots level. So I'm working with teams that are working in rivers and beaches at Adopt a River. We also do environmental education. And you guys spoke a lot about education. And I would say from the experience that I have with meeting young children and going to schools, I would say they actually have a lot of information about what is happening in our environment. They are more educated than adults. So our biggest problem, it's actually the adults and not the kids, because with the kids they exactly know what's going on and what to do. I think the schools are doing an amazing job with that. And it's nice because once you teach a child, they come back home and try to teach everybody at home and make sure that everyone is doing what they've been taught at school. But our biggest problem is the parents, it's the uncles, it's the aunts, who don't care about the environment, who just litter and say they are creating more jobs, and who just create more problems and not solution in our environment. During this week, I was even thinking, Ferrell, that maybe what we can also do as WaterCAN is to approach the Department of Education and actually maybe have a workshop with the geography teachers, or teachers that are actually teaching the environmental subjects, so that we can talk to them, and they can be activists just like us. They can have the same passion, they can have the same love, so that it can be easy for them to pass that information and to pass the same passion to the kids at school. But it's great, guys, to be involved and trying to come up with solutions and helping different communities and seeing different environmental problems. And you guys were talking about the water war. And just before the elections, in most communities, people did not have water. What was happening is that they were getting water tanks, and those water tanks from different political parties. So certain political parties were providing their own people with water, and other people couldn't access that water because they're not part of that party. So it was causing a lot of conflicts in communities. So that war has already started in one way or another. So as WaterCAN, as the youth, we really have to stand up and influence other people. And it only takes one person to make a difference and influence the next person, and the next person influence the other one. But all in all, I am happy to be part of this group. It's great. And Ferrell said that it can be very draining dealing with these issues. It's really very draining because we don't have solutions to every problem. And the other problem is just politics. Politics are getting more involved in the water issues, which makes it difficult for us to work.
Thank you
you,
so
guys.
much, Azile. I mean, I think Azile is doing amazing work, and we will kind of, at some point have a specific focus on the actual river that she's been monitoring with others. So, and I think that, all of you are doing amazing work, and all of you in water. So I think that gives me hope. But I do like, I mean, if there are any other questions, I think you answered the question pretty well in terms of getting testing kits. From David, are there any other questions that people have? I mean, I see some people that are doing good work as well are new to activism. They might not qualify as a youth, but if you have any questions, Akshay, you can please raise them. I think that for me, the one thing that before we, allow you to just say one last final word about getting involved in water, is the other thing that I'm taking from all of you is that it's about action. So whether it's a beach cleanup, whether it's a workshop, whether it's painting, we did a mural at the Human Rights Festival, people loved it. So you can mix your art, you can mix, poetry, music, make it fun, but also do the testing, also do the serious stuff of cleaning up the beach and stuff like that. But we need to build the numbers of young people holding people in power accountable, whether it's adults, like you say, Azealia, whether it's politicians. I was watching this whole thing of there's the shadow cabinet, that shadow parliamentarians, but like at city levels. And I think that the people I've met doing environmental work should be part of that. You guys you can raise the voice of the youth. And I think it's not that different. So I don't want to create this us and them, because you start creating a division. So, but I think that the voices of young people need to be louder at this point. It doesn't mean that I spoke to an activist today and he was like, no, I'm too old now. I'm not going to do anything. And I was like, no, activism doesn't go away because you retire. It must continue. I know there's some older activists in the group. They must be thinking, ish, no, they're retiring. But no, activism must go from the beginning to the end. So I think for me, my take home and my challenge would be, this is the last question. What would you like WaterCAN to do wherever you are to get the voices of youth? If there's something you've been thinking about doing that you think maybe you need support, or maybe you'd like to work with others on it, let us know. If there's something you want to do specifically around the water and environment where you think WaterCAN would be a good partner, or if even not even, we don't have to be. Tahira's got her own organization. But let us know what are the kinds of things that we can do to actually get more young people involved. So we've got about 7 minutes. I'm going to give each of you 1.5 minutes to tell me what you think we should be doing to build activism. Next year, our webinar must have 100 people. And I shouldn't be on it. Just saying, hashtag NAMSA. Who wants to start with that one? So let me just pick on you. Let's go NAMSA, Tahira, Azile, Lerato, in that order. Yeah. I
Okay.
didn't forget your, sorry, I
I'm
didn't
so
forget
sorry.
your pop-up ads. Yes, I love it. The actions
No,
and
I'm so
pop-up ads.
sorry, Farrell. Can I please begin?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. We have well, it's not load shedding. I don't know what it is, but we just don't have power.
It's
So
load
in case,
reduction.
Yeah. So I think it's a beautiful question, and I love how there's so much consistency in it, Dr. Adams, in a sense of when we did a water testing at Florida Dam, you concluded your workshop and the water testing we did with the very same question. And I love how Tyra has also been emphasizing in a sense of making it fun. And I don't want to lie, I had the best time of my life. Like, we were excited to get our hands in dirty water. We were like, we left the sanitizers there and we were like, okay, let's go do this. It feels like a project. And that's the beauty of it. And I remember we were so diverse in a sense of there wasn't just young people, right? The old people did it, they had fun. I remember Mr. Yunus Mita actually laid flat down on his tummy to get the water from the dam. So definitely, I think opening such spaces to the masses, marketing, spreading the word there. So if you're having another water testing, wherever it is, just letting people know. And sometimes the main action we have to do is getting people in these spaces, whether you do it creatively, whether you do it whichever way, but just getting them there to have that feel and experience. Because sometimes a hearsay doesn't have that much oomph, but an experience and a feeling, something tangible, seeing those things, it's fascinating, right? So that's number one, just opening broader the for the audience. So next water testing, let it be in the newspaper, let it circulate, let there be a digital flyer to say, hey, Dr. Adams is in Pretoria, or she's in Lenasia, or she's visiting Libra, come, 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 all is invited, right? Then, as I also said in the beginning, engaging with the stakeholders. I think WaterCAN now does have footprint, and it's now really, sometimes we don't have to knock. I think it's time maybe sometimes just gently budge in and be like, you know what, you need to come here, because at the end of the day, it's something that's going to benefit everyone. So as much as we're saying the youth, but I think this is a crisis that everybody should be involved. And if the youth is dragging their feet or whatever, the 35-year-olds that are there, the 40-year-olds, the adults that are there, it's fine. Why not? If it means we're gonna invest or shift it more to the children, why not? Even having your 8-year-olds, as Tahira said, and 7-year-olds just being interested, understanding water, especially the quality of water, then why not? So I think what WaterCAN can do is now really embarking in engaging these stakeholders, these entities, these bigger people, because sometimes without the head, it's not easy to do other things. So I think it's just going up there to say, okay, the education department, this is what we're doing. Water and sanitation, this is what we're doing. And even the private sector, we can't forget them, because this is a global issue. It's not just South Africa, it's not just Gauteng, it's not just Cape Town, right? So I think it's time WaterCAN just embark on that to say, okay, how are we inventing the spaces, and maybe even budging in invited to say, okay, you know what, they having this conference or this summit or this launch, we gonna ask for a slot just to pitch this idea, just to hand out these flyers, just a lot can be done, but then again, it goes to who's willing to do the action behind it. So I think it's a matter of just trying to see which step are we going to take first in the implementation process. And I always say, with a big elephant, how do you tackle it? You start bits by bits. So let's hold ourselves also accountable and responsible, and just tackle this elephant by the task, to say, okay, as Lorato, I'm going to start with my family. And from my family, they'll share with their friends. Or as someone that's part of affiliated with a certain organization or a certain school, I'm going to take it to the school. And sometimes you just got to go big or go home. So yes, we need to include the masses and just see how bold and possible we can do. But really, thank you to WaterCAN for all the work that you are doing. The footprint is there. The work you're doing in Cape Town, for picking up the litter even there. Like, really, thank you. You're a great, wonderful, true ambassador of WaterCAN. And again, also spreading that knowledge and all of that. And definitely, if we can just commit from ourselves and maybe not hold a weight on others, we definitely can do it. And most importantly, the capacity building. I just can't emphasize it enough. The more we are in silos, the more we are going, but no way. And it's only when we come together that then we'll go somewhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lorato. Nomsa, Tahira, and then Azide.
Okay, so I definitely agree with Lerato. I think we need to make it fun and interactive. I think we can have hands-on activities. We can organize a workshop or a field trip where kids can use, they can even use a water kit water can testing kits, collect sample, and also just by them observing the wildlife as well. We can have games, challenges on the workshop, create environmental game, scavenger hunts as well. That's also fun for kids as well. What also Lerato also mentioned that we also need to get the department involved. I think that also would also play a major role, whereby we have school clubs, establish environmental clubs where students can regularly meet to discuss and participate in water monitoring activities as well. So what I also think we can do is we also had an art competition. So things like that would also get kids involved as well. I think, yeah, most kids would get involved in that as well. I think what we also do is, because it's kids, 7-year-old and 8-year-olds also like their families to be involved, engage with families and communities. Where we can organize a family-friendly event like a river cleanup on a weekend, nature walks that encourage parents to participate with the children as well. Lastly, I think maybe community engagement as well. Host community events such as science fairs, environmental festivities as well. I think, or a public presentation where kids can showcase their work or their findings in water. Yeah, I think that would also get the youth and the children more involved as well.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Over to you, Tahira.
Wow, yes, first of all, like, thank you guys so much for having me. And yeah, it was just so amazing to be part of the discussion today and meet all of you guys. Very inspired and super excited to continue to connect with you guys. And yes, so on the note of like a festival, we're actually planning to collaborate. Well, we are collaborating with Breathe, which is another nonprofit ocean conservation organization in KwaZulu-Natal. They are super amazing. They actually are doing marine ecology education programs in schools. They have booklets and they're, making it part of the school curriculum. I'm not sure if it's during school hours or if it's an after school club, but they are going into schools and doing those educational programs. And one exciting thing that we have coming up during September is the Seas and Trees Festival. So that is basically amazing time where things like you mentioned, like nature walks, conservation films, and so much more, like cleanups, all of that is going to be taking place within that time at our local schools. And yeah, so I think all of that, is something that, we're really looking forward to. And I think definitely if we can get WaterCAN involved and, make that part of the program, it's kind of like a festival to kind of create engagement and excitement around conservation. And yeah, it's super fun during spring. Yeah. And yeah, I just, so exciting to like hear everyone's stories. And yeah, it was so great to be able to share my story. And yeah, and I saw one cool question in the chat by, I think it was Dave or David. Yeah, I just, you mentioned that you were the chairman of the nonprofits in Limpopo. And yeah, so I personally am hoping to volunteer there with regards to wildlife volunteering because I'm an aspiring veterinarian. So I'm hoping to like do some volunteering. If you would know of any opportunities for students, I would definitely be excited. And yeah, I look forward to connecting with you.
Thank you, Tahira. Nice to make those connections. I love it. I love it. And David's put his email online. David, we've also put our email for you to get water testing kits, right? I think Azile, you weren't on the panel, but you've been speaking, so I'm going to let you say one last thing. You've literally got 30 seconds because we've got to sign off.
Okay. One last thing I would like to say is that in our initiatives to involve the youth, I think we have to involve incentives, have some sort of incentives, because most of the youth, especially the older ones, 20, 21, like they don't like doing things for free. It's not like we're buying them, but I think they have to get something and get motivated. As long as whatever we're going to give them is environmental related, and it also forms part of awareness. So I think we have no time.
Great. Thank you. I love the ideas. I love that, I think Tahira's comment is directly linked to what you were saying in terms of having volunteer hours for university. I think you're right. Thank you so much. I think thank you for being part of this process and sharing so openly and freely and being and just getting us excited about activism again. You all have a passion and a love for stuff that you're doing that is infectious. So thank you so much. But I want to say September is a big month. You said it's spring. We do our water testing week in that month. We'll be sharing the dates and the activities. Tahira, I really hope it can link up to your activities in September, but also Action for Accountability is committed to carrying on doing the testing this year. So yay, we should have a chat and a meeting soon. Thank you so much, everyone. I think please go out there, create more awareness, talk to people, get more young people involved. And let's keep that fire burning and the passion out there for the environmental stuff. And let's keep growing. Next year, we want a session of 100 people, right? Let's do it. Thank you, everyone. And thank you for everyone for joining and being part of the process and your questions. All great. Have a good evening. If you're traveling, travel safe. Good night.
Thank you. Bye.